Visitors to Japan are consistently struck by the sight of very young children navigating complex urban environments entirely on their own. Inside schools, that autonomy scales up into rigorous communal responsibility. Young students maintain their own classrooms, handling brooms and wiping down floors daily. They act as caretakers for their peers, dishing out hot soup and distributing meals from heavy metal pots, all without the need for adult micromanagement. To an outside observer, this calm capability presents a stark contrast to Western developmental milestones. In many Western households, the early drive for independence is characterized by public tantrums, friction over rules, and a constant cycle of punishments and rewards. This presents a distinct paradox. Japanese parents are rarely seen disciplining their children in public spaces, yet they consistently raise some of the most obedient and self-regulated kids in the world. The Japanese method bypasses harsh discipline entirely. Instead, it builds this remarkable self-reliance through an initial profound surrender to absolute dependence. Attaining true independence requires a completely different developmental starting point than Western culture traditionally assumes. While Western parenting typically emphasizes early physical separation, placing infants in separate cribs or rooms to foster self-soothing, Japanese culture approaches early infancy as a period of complete physical fusion between mother and child. This is achieved through skinship, a deeply rooted practice of maintaining constant physical contact. Infants are carried and tightly bound to their caregivers throughout the daily routine. That proximity extends into the night. Co-sleeping on shared floor futons remains the cultural standard, keeping the child within arm's reach at all times. This constant contact satisfies a psychological drive known as amai. It translates roughly to a child's deep, unconscious desire to be completely enveloped in indulgent love and rely entirely on another's benevolence. This diagram maps the neurological impact. Crying to prompt a reaction teaches self-assertion. Anticipating needs before crying teaches self-regulation. By removing the need to vocalize distress, this cycle actively suppresses anxiety escalation in the developing brain. Embracing absolute dependence early on does not result in a spoiled child. It provides an unshakable foundation of emotional security. As the child enters toddlerhood, that total maternal indulgence shifts toward proactive socialization and habit formation. Educational researchers describe this transition using the metaphor of the basting thread. Parents provide a tight, highly predictable structure of rules and habits that hold the child's behavior together safely, with the explicit goal of removing those threads as the child matures. The primary tool for reinforcing these early habits is kimochi shugi, or emotionalism. Rather than using fear or punitive consequences, parents correct behavior by engaging the child's empathy. If a frustrated toddler kicks a door, a Western parent might issue a direct reprimand, stating that the action is bad or against the rules. This scan from the Japanese mind details the exact alternative. A Japanese mother projects feelings onto inanimate objects, telling the child, "The door will be crying in pain." This teaches children to base judgments on hurting others, rather than evaluating abstract, rigid rules. This empathy-driven approach curtails bad behavior by cultivating a strong, good child identity. The child cooperates because disrupting the harmony feels emotionally uncomfortable, not because they fear authoritative punishment. Eventually, the parental basting thread must loosen. This happens as children enter preschool and begin interacting in large peer groups. Here, early childhood educators employ a pedagogical strategy called mimomoru, teaching by watching. It is the intentional practice of adult non-intervention. When young children argue over a toy or get into a minor physical scuffle, Japanese teachers and parents will intentionally stand back and observe, resisting the urge to break up the dispute. The logic requires patience. Children must be given the physical and psychological space to navigate peer conflict, using the empathy and emotional regulation they absorbed during their early years. Outside the home, the wider community reinforces this peer-led harmony. Neighbors, shopkeepers, and older students uniformly expect and praise cooperative behavior, creating a consistent environment. By stepping back and watching, adults give children the opportunity to take total ownership of the social skills they have been implicitly taught since birth. Older Japanese children navigate the world gracefully because their behavior is anchored in deep, internalized social connection rather than a reliance on external enforcement. Maintaining this architecture requires an immense amount of hidden labor. The intense proximal parenting model relies on exhausting, self-sacrificing dedication that has traditionally been placed almost entirely on mothers. The rise of isolated nuclear families and rigid, demanding corporate cultures means that modern mothers are navigating these extreme physical and emotional expectations alone. This isolation is currently straining the traditional system to its breaking point. Sustaining this child-rearing model requires a cultural shift in the workplace. A growing movement in Japan is now pushing to integrate active, supportive fatherhood to share the immense emotional labor of early childhood. Western development often frames life as a constant negotiation for personal control. In Japan, success is defined by securing a reliable, supportive place within a harmonious group. True independence does not come from pushing a child away early. It comes from holding them so securely that they eventually desire to step forward on their own. Perhaps the secret of Japanese parenting is not control, but creating harmony.